Okay, just take quiet breath in and out with me. Because we are diving straight into something that gets to all of us. That immediate, visceral feeling of comparison. You know the one? You're just scrolling, or maybe you're listening to a friend, and bam, they just got married, they bought this huge house, got a dream promotion.
Or they're posting from a beach you definitely can't afford.
Exactly. And that little voice just creeps in, right? That whisper that asks, why am I not there yet?
It happens so fast. The shift is it's instantaneous. One moment you feel fine, you feel stable, and the next you feel like you're falling behind in a race you didn't even know you were running.
A race you didn't sign up for.
Exactly. And our sources on this are really clear. Comparison is, well, it's a cognitive distortion. It is fundamentally disconnected from love or self-acceptance. It just shows you the highlight reel.
The curated highlight.
The curated highlight reel of someone else's life. And then it uses that flawless image as the ruler for your own messy, authentic reality.
That distinction, curated versus messy, I mean, that's the whole problem, isn't it? It's such an energy drain.
It is.
So our deep dive today is all about self-worth and pacing. Our mission here is to unpack the psychological insights. Why measuring your life against others blinds you to your own path, and how to turn that blinding light off.
And we're starting with a really thoughtful concept. This dive asks a provocative question that shifts the whole focus from external speed to internal substance.
Okay, I'm listening.
What if your pace is slower right now because your roots are going deeper? What if the dreams you're working toward just need more foundational effort that, nobody can see yet?
Wow.
It immediately changes the conversation from, am I fast enough, to, am I sturdy enough?
I find it fascinating that, comparison doesn't just happen when we see high achievers.
Yeah.
It seems to sneak in most aggressively when our own life feels kind of still.
When it slows down.
Yeah, when things slow down. When you're not getting that external validation, there's just more space for the doubt to get louder. Am I doing enough? Am I where I should be?
That stillness is exactly when we become vulnerable to what psychologists call social comparison theory, SCT. We're like biologically wired to assess where we stand next to others.
Right. It's a survival thing.
It was. But modern life has completely broken the mechanism. Now, when we look at social media, we are almost exclusively doing upward comparison. We're looking at people we perceive as superior in some way.
And that's just a guaranteed path to feeling bad about yourself.
It's a guaranteed path to emotional distress.
Okay, but why is it so intense? I mean, we know logically that people don't post their failures, right? We know this.
We do. But SCT makes us forget about what we can call the hidden chapters. Comparison makes us forget that every successful journey has these messy drafts, endless edits, huge chapters of struggle.
The stuff nobody Instagrams.
Exactly.
Cool.
What you never see in a photo is the massive cognitive load it takes to maintain that performance.
That's a great way to put it. It's like seeing a finished skyscraper but having no idea about the foundation, the architects arguing, the delays, the budget going over.
Precisely. And to bring this to life, one of the sources tells this story about a friend who seemed to be living the absolute dream. Beautiful apartment, great job, always traveling.
She was the definition of a social media success story. The one everyone envied.
The one. And then came the confidential admission, which was just devastating. It showed the true cost of that performance.
What did she say?
She told the author, "I cry almost every night. I feel completely lost. I post those pictures because it's the only time I feel in control. The only time I feel seen as successful."
Wow. That's heartbreaking.
It is. And it's probably the most important insight to carry with us. The parts of someone's life we envy are often the parts they are struggling the most to maintain. Or they're masking this profound emptiness.
You haven't felt their 2 a.m. worries. You haven't seen what they've lost to get that image.
Not at all. The reality is that the things we envy, like control, perfection, effortless success, those are the things that are most likely manufactured.
So the comparison isn't just unfair. It's based on bad data. We're comparing our real, complex, three-dimensional inner world against a flat, edited, two-dimensional image.
And that bad data leads straight to the high cost. Getting caught in what the material calls the timeline trap.
The timeline trap. I think I know what this is.
It's when you compare your messy middle to someone else's curated highlight, and your heart just feels this sense of failure.
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone can relate to this, especially in, your 20s or 30s. Friends are getting promoted, married, buying homes.
And you're still figuring out what city you want to live in.
Right, let alone who you want to marry.
Yeah.
And you internalize that difference and think, I am failing at life.
And that feeling is rooted in these, culturally prescribed milestones that are often rigid and outdated. They come from social periods that just don't apply anymore.
So we're using someone else's ruler to measure our life.
And that disconnects you from your own reality. It's so important to realize that just because someone is ahead in one area, like their career or relationship, doesn't mean you're behind in life.
Okay, but let me push back on that a little. If all my peers are achieving X, isn't that a real data point I should maybe consider?
Yeah.
How do we tell the difference between healthy competition that inspires you and, crippling comparison that just paralyzes you?
That is the essential question. Healthy inspiration compares your current self to your future potential. Crippling comparison compares your internal self to someone else's external performance. And when we fall into that trap, we get this compulsion to catch up. We start making decisions, taking jobs, saying yes to things, not because they fit our values, but because they give us the illusion of keeping pace.
That's classic cognitive dissonance, right? You know what you want, but you act against it just to fit in.
Absolutely. And the ultimate cost of that chase is losing yourself completely. It's something called hedonic adaptation. You might achieve those milestones, but you adapt to them so quickly, and then you just feel empty because they were never yours to begin with.
You spend all that energy climbing a ladder.
Only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall.
So instead of needing to catch up, maybe the honest thing to do is the exact opposite.
That's precisely what the sources suggest. Maybe your life doesn't need catching up. Maybe it needs to slow down so you can actually hear your own voice again.
That's slowing down. That's the path to liberation, isn't it? Choosing a journey that actually fits your soul.
Yes, your path is allowed to look different. Different from your sisters, your classmates, or even the version of yourself you imagined 5 years ago.
And when you stop measuring by those big external achievements, you realize that comparison just makes you miss the real texture of your own life.
Completely. We're conditioned to think meaning only exists in the big moments. Graduations, promotions, the stuff that gets applause.
Yeah.
But that's such a tiny percentage of our actual experience.
Meaning is found in the sacred, ordinary moments. The small, gentle things that only you, living inside your life, even notice.
Exactly. The sources give these beautiful examples, like noticing the way sunlight hits your favorite window at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Or that quiet pride in finishing something you almost gave up on. Or the very specific sound of a close friend's laugh.
These moments are irreplaceable. They don't go in a highlight reel, but they're the quiet fuel for your resilience.
And if you're busy comparing, you are literally missing them. You're missing your own life because your focus is constantly outside the window looking at someone else's garden.
Which brings us to that analogy you mentioned, the one about the wildflowers.
Yes, this is one of the most powerful insights. The writer was walking past a garden and saw this patch of wildflowers that hadn't been planted in neat little rows.
They were just growing in their own strange, beautiful rhythm. Some were tall, some tiny, some blooming, some fading.
And the insight was that none of them were wasting energy comparing themselves to the perfect rose bush next door.
They weren't looking at the neat rows of tulips.
No, they were simply just being alive enough. They were meeting the requirements of their own design, their own environment, not trying to fit some external template.
I love that phrase. Just being alive enough. It reframes effort from this desperate struggle for perfection into just a simple act of being, of growing.
Which is intrinsically valuable, regardless of its speed or how visible it is. It reminds you that no one else has your memories. You're the only one who gets to live your life from the inside out.
And that self-referential measurement, just being alive enough, that has to be the direct path to what you call quiet confidence.
It is. We often mistake confidence for, being loud, for being assertive, or having all the answers. But the kind that really lasts is soft, it's steady, and it's internal.
It's that quiet strength in saying, I don't need to prove myself anymore.
Exactly. That confidence is rooted in an internal locus of control, believing you are the primary force in your life rather than external approval. When you rely on external validation, your mind never rests.
You're constantly monitoring how you measure up.
It's exhausting. You're essentially living outside of yourself. But when you finally come home to yourself, when you can say, this is who I am right now and that's okay, that's when you start to feel that quiet strength.
So self-trust is the bedrock.
Yeah.
It's not about never doubting yourself, but about knowing you can navigate through the doubt.
Yes. Even if the path is unclear, and even if nobody around you gets the choices you're making. When you trust yourself, you replace the need to compete with the ability to just be present.
The freedom in that must be enormous. Knowing your worth is non-negotiable. It doesn't depend on your salary or your relationship status or your follower count.
And that brings us to the ultimate goal. When you stop needing to be like anyone else, you become someone truly rare, a person who is at peace with themselves.
And that peace,
Yeah.
it allows you to stop competing, stop comparing, and just start being.
It's a constant, gentle reminder that your life is worthy, profoundly worthy, even if it doesn't look perfect, and maybe especially because it's quiet and a work in progress.
So to wrap this up, the core message here is that you are not your comparison. You are your presence, your effort, your journey. You're not behind. You're simply becoming.
Remember the psychological cost of that timeline trap, and then remember the profound quiet of the wildflower analogy. The most honest direction is walking beside yourself, trusting your own pace, not running next to someone else.
Your path was never meant to look like theirs.
And that difference is your quiet, sacred power.
We want to leave you with a final thought for the week. Take a moment right now and try to identify one small and beautiful thing you're experiencing. Maybe it's a skill you're nurturing or just a quiet moment of contentment.
Something that doesn't need applause to matter.
Something that no one else might even notice, but you do. Hold on to that quiet truth. Be kind to your pace.
That space where you let go of comparison and embrace your own depth, that's your true path. We hope this deep dive helped you breathe a little easier today.